I'm going to move on to McDavid. Moving on to somebody who went and got all of the money that they wanted to a guy who took a pay cut in a absolute shocker. Now, I want to give Carter his flowers here because when we talked about Kaprizov in the same conversation, Carter said in our clip that Connor McDavid was going to take a pay cut and get around $12 million. I'll put the clip in the audio here for the podcast. So you can play it here.
Here's the thing. I don't think that McDavid will be signing for anything more than 14.
Really?
Listen, I'm going to give you the same logic I gave for Kaprizov, right?
Okay.
Connor McDavid, I don't think is like Kirill Kaprizov. Connor McDavid's better than Kirill Kaprizov. However, Connor McDavid also knows that in order to build a team around him, in order to have a guy like Leon Draisaitl either on his wing or as his second line center, to have a guy like Zach Hyman on his wing, to play with a guy like Nugent Hopkins, to have a great defenseman like Evan Bouchard, right? The money's got to come from somewhere. And it can't come from Connor McDavid taking up 10% of the cap.
And Carter obviously did get that one very, very right. So, Carter, anything you want to say to us about that before we?
Listen, Sportsnet, ESPN, TSN, whatever you want. You could drop a Kirill Kaprizov bag to me. I'll take it gladly. No, but I mean, it was kind of like what was in the rumors, right? And you think of guys who want to win. Like you look at the guys that McDavid looked up to, like Sidney Crosby. I mean, that's like he wears 97 because Crosby wore 87 his birth year, which is the same. And McDavid 97, that's his birth year. Yeah. Whatever. You look at that guy who we grew up watching, and 8.7 was a lot of money back then, but he was taking pay cuts. Like he could have made more than 8.7, like 100% he could have, but he had that superstition to the number 87. He also wanted to win Stanley Cups. And you look at what he was able to do while making 8.7, while some guys were making like 9, 10, all that stuff, right? And he dominated. He was the reason that the Penguins were in contention for so long. McDavid takes $20 million. What does that do for Edmonton, right? And you look at this, the salary cap, the hole that they're already in right now. McDavid's making 12.5 right now, and look at the hole that they are kind of in. They have Draisaitl making 14. It's already not pretty. So you think McDavid's going to be like, look, I want to win a cup in Edmonton, so I'm going to absolutely screw you by taking $20 million. No, that's not what players that want to win do. Players that want to win will do whatever it takes to win. They will take pay cuts. They will take money away. They will perform at the highest level. And that is what Connor McDavid does. So I felt real confident in saying that he's going to take a pay cut because what's he going to do? Not take a pay cut, go play somewhere else, and lose out on a team that's going to back-to-back Stanley Cup finals. Granted, it was kind of on the back of Connor McDavid, but we could skip past that, so this sounds a lot better.
Yeah, I was very shocked at the $12.5 million mark. You would think McDavid would like get at least a little bit of a pay raise, like maybe gets 13.5. No, he stays right at the 12.5 that he signed after his entry-level contract. All the way back in 2017, which Peter Chiarelli signed that deal. That turned out to be a pretty good contract. I would say so. But regardless here, again, McDavid keeping at that same cap, as you said, it puts the Oilers in a pretty decent advantage here. Because, again, like if McDavid did sign 20 with them or even signed more, it would screw them over and make things complicated. And keeping him at the 12.5, which first off, again, as you said, I'm just giving you more credit here. They don't have a lot of options as it is with their overall cap situation, and they keep McDavid at the same amount of money. Now, again, like as I said, they don't really have a lot to work with to begin with, but it does help that he's taking the same amount of money that he got paid last year and the 7 years before or whatever. So I love this for Edmonton, and I love it for McDavid too, because when you look at it from the perspective of Connor McDavid and him, wanting to get his bag later on, this puts the Oilers in a 3-year window. A 3-year window, essentially, to win a Stanley Cup. You got 26, 27, and 28 as your best opportunities to get this done here. Because not only when you look at McDavid, you look at the whole grand scheme of the roster. I'm going to stay with McDavid here for a second, before I go and talk about that, because there was a couple of those signings that I do want to touch base on here before we move on. But with McDavid, he's going into 2 years left on that deal. It gives Edmonton the opportunity to contend even more for a Stanley Cup. But not only that, this contract will take Connor McDavid until he's 31 years old. He will go to free agency. I'm going to be blunt with you. This is my opinion now on October 8th, 2025, 2 days after that deal was signed. I think McDavid's going to leave in 2028. I think he's going to leave the Oilers in 2028. Unless if the salary cap changes, and I know like you're 3 years away from that point, I think he's going to want to leave, or Edmonton's going to have to really pay him. And I don't know if I can see that with their current situation.
Okay. So do you think he's going to leave no matter what? Like, let's say by the first year of this new contract, right? So not this season, but next season. Let's say they win a cup.
Okay.
Do you think he still leaves Edmonton?
Okay.
I think no cup. I think he probably will leave Edmonton. I think if he wins a cup in that window, he's an Oiler for life.
Yeah, I do think so too. And I should have prefaced that. I think that if they don't win a cup, I think he is like almost 100% gone. Even if they do win a cup, though, I wouldn't be shocked if McDavid looks at this roster and sees all of these guys who are aging and is like, I don't know. I want to win. I want to go win a Stanley Cup, and I don't know if I can do it here with the Oilers. Because, again, it's undeniable. You look at this roster. Nugent Hopkins, 32 years old. Adam Henrique, 35 years old. Janmark, 32. You have your entire blue line. Darnell Nurse is 30. Ekholm's 35. Walman is 29. Kulak's 31. Stetcher's 31. So, like, this core is aging. The roster is getting older. You do have your younger guys in there like Savoy and Howard are 21. Bouchard's 25. Draisaitl's just a year older than McDavid. But you do look at the aging roster of this core. Unless if they get more youth in there by the time McDavid's coming up, it wouldn't shock me even if they do win a cup, he decides, I want to go win elsewhere. It would not shock me at all whatsoever because, again, like maybe things are different in 2028. The cap could be $150 million. You really don't know, but I think that with their current situation, and it's probably going to stay that way, where they're crunching right up there against the cap, I think it's going to be pretty hard for them to sign him because there is no reason at all, especially if they win a cup in 2028, for McDavid to take a pay cut. And I'll go more into the 3-year window, but I want to go back to you for a second. What do you think about what I just said?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with that. I think they win a Stanley Cup at any point in these next 3 years. McDavid will re-sign at the end of this contract and be an Oiler for life. He will take his money and he will move on. If they don't win a cup, I think that there's a 90% chance he's gone. Where is he going to go? I don't know. We're going to have to see who's comp in 3 years. If he goes to the Florida Panthers, I think the NHL is going to lose its mind.
I don't want to go there.
Edmonton will do a Vancouver like 2011. I guarantee it. But we're not going to go there. We're not going to discuss, McDavid's going to Florida. That's not going to happen.
That's way too far.
However, I think that this is all hypotheticals. So let's throw it a hypothetical. Okay. Edmonton does not win a cup in these next 3 years, right? McDavid, he's like, I've given 13 years to the Edmonton. Like, he's given them 13 years. If he doesn't win a cup in Edmonton in 13 years, there's some sort of problem there, right? What do you think that he does? Do you think he's signing continuous 2-year deals, trying to find a cup, trying to find a team that will help him win a Stanley Cup? Or do you think he's going, no, I want to just find one or forever home, one more stop, and try and win a cup and sign like a 7-year deal?
No, again,
or I guess it'd be a 6-year deal, eh? Yeah, it'd be a 6-year deal.
I mean, it could be 6. We'll see.
Well, no, it has to be because it goes down.
Oh, yeah, with the CBA, you're right.
So it would be a 6-year deal. So do you think he signs a 6-year deal or starts signing like 1-2-year deals, trying to find that cup? Does he pull like Kevin Durant type moves? Like what do you think? Like, this is a stupid hypothetical, but it's
one that I feel like I want to ask. If he were to leave the Oilers, would he sign 1-year deals, or just in general, would he sign 1 or 2-year deals?
Like, he could just sign 1 or 2-year deals in Edmonton until he wins a cup and then finds his forever home. Or do you think he'd bounce around?
Well, I think if they don't win a Stanley Cup, and unless if they get just like so much younger, I think he leaves. Like, again, like I think that's the only answer I'm going to have for you, to be honest. Like, if they
Yeah.
don't win a cup and they don't get younger during that period, and McDavid's
Hmm.
not confident, he has no reason to stay. Like, to be honest with
Yeah.
you,
But like, do you think that he would like go to different teams for on 1 2 year deals, or do you think he'd pick one team and sign like a 6 year deal?
that is interesting. I mean, it's a big hypothetical, and we're really going down a
Hmm.
rabbit hole here. That's like 3 years away. We might
3 years
not
away and potentially a cup away.
we might not even be doing podcasts by then, but I hope so. But regardless, like, I mean, I will say this, like, it's a lot to speculate, but I would say like he would probably go and lock in for a 6 year deal, or maybe even little
Hmm.
between that. Like you're saying, 2 or 6, it could be in the middle. It could be like a 4 year deal. We don't know.
Hmm.
We can't really predict. We can predict the future, but we're probably not going to be right. So
Unless you're
there's
me.
that. I want to go to current date though. 2025-26. You
Okay.
look at this Edmonton roster. Now we're going to go and pan over to a couple of different players here on this roster. I know we said we talked about the big four signings. We'll get to them in depth here, but I want to really hit it on a nail here for the Oilers. You look at the guys that they signed in the last 2 weeks, and not just on the on ice product. You have Vasily Podkolzin, 24 years old, just signed a 3 year extension. That'll kick in next year. They signed Matthias Ekholm, 35 years old, signed a 3 year extension that'll kick in next year. That'll take him till he's 39 years old, or actually 40, maybe, because he'll be 36 when that deal kicks in. Regardless, they also signed Jake Walman to a 7 year deal. That'll take him till he's 37. So that's something. And you look at this overall roster. Besides that, you have Leon Draisaitl signed on his $14 million deal. He's in the first year of that. You have Nugent Hopkins is at 5.125 until 2029, or 2028. So you have a lot of these players, like Trent Frederick also locked up too. Zach Hyman's on his deal as well. You got to look at it here. Like the Oilers have a pretty short window coming up, and they just locked up these players to these contracts. They are basically locking in with this team. This defensive core of Bouchard, Nurse, Ekholm, and Walman, they're locked into here for the next foreseeable future. You look at the forward core. The forward core is a little bit less interesting because you have a couple of guys who are expiring, but you are locked into Draisaitl, McDavid for 3 more years, Nugent Hopkins for 4 more years, Frederick for 8 more years, Mangiapane for 2, who you just signed, and then you have a couple of free agents there like Henrique, Kapanen, Tomasek, Lazar, Phillip, the other guys, Kulak as well, and Stetcher. They didn't only just lock up there on ice. They also signed Chris Knobloch to a 3 year deal last Friday. So they're not only locked up here and locking in with this team, not only on ice, but off the ice too. They are confident in their coach who has taken them to back-to-back Cup finals. So, Carter, I ask you the question here. With this current core right now with the Oilers, this current aging core that has made it to back-to-back Stanley Cup finals, do you see them winning a cup in the next 3 years?
That's such a tough question. I think they kind of have to know. Like
Well, they definitely
it's a
have to.
hard it's a hard question to really answer because I think they like realistically they should. If I were to bet money on it, I probably would. I think that they would win a cup within the next 3 years, because if you're telling me you just went to 2 straight Stanley Cup Finals, lost both of them in heartbreaking fashions, um, and it. And you have the best player in the world on probably one of the best contracts in the world. You have a player who's arguably number 2 in the NHL to some people. You have an amazing offensive defenseman. You have a very good defensive defenseman. Your second line is probably one of the best in the National Hockey League. Like it's probably up there with like Florida and all these other teams, right? They have to. Like, if they don't, this is just a waste of an Edmonton Oilers team. And there's problems and problems. But where do you even look? Because you want to say, oh, well, it's got to be coaching. He's taken them to 2 straight Stanley Cup finals. Can't be that.
It really is interesting because you would think with this team going to those back-to-back Cup finals, like it's pretty rare that you go to 2 straight Cup finals and you lose both of them. Like I think it's only happened once before, and it was back in the 70s, I believe. So it's pretty rare to see a feat like that happen. It I look at the Oilers, and the biggest problems for me, I have a couple. The first one is the defense. There are concerns with the defense and the way it can play defensively. The thing is, though, is like these guys are good. They're good defensemen. Like Bouchard, great offensively and offensive talent. Darnell Nurse is overpaid. He's not like, I'm not going to say he's no like incredible defenseman, but he's not like horrible like people are making him out to be. Ekholm, their best defensive guy. Walman was great for them last year. Kulak was a good defenseman as well. He's expiring as well. After that, there's Emberson, Stetcher, Regula. You can get into that later. That's the depth of the blue line. But my biggest problem is just that a lot of these guys, when they come into the big moments, they just tend to just mess up. And there's just defensive lapses that can't happen. We saw it so many times. One that really stands out to me was that Bouchard turnover to give Florida the first goal in Game 6 of the finals. That really stands out to me. I really remember that a lot. And I feel like in these big moments, these players haven't been able to come through. And we have beat the other problem to death, and I think you know what I'm going to say. It's the goaltending. And look, again, yeah, I know you're shocked by that, aren't you?
No way.
You look at this tandem, Skinner and Pickard. These are 2 goalies who have been good on the playoff runs there, and they've looked good in spurts, especially Calvin Pickard. He looked good in the finals at points. But the inconsistency is too concerning. I'm sorry. It is too concerning for me to be so confident in it. They always prove us wrong, and then when you think that everything's solved, this is it, they got it, it goes back to them screwing up again. Like, you can't tell me that when they played, Vegas or any of the other teams, you were like, yeah, I'm confident in Stuart Skinner in this. Like, they're going to win. I picked Skinner to lose that series. I made a video during that playoffs criticizing Stuart Skinner. He goes in there in Game 4, gets a shutout, gets another shutout in Game 5, plays phenomenal, played good in the Dallas series too. And you're thinking to yourself, and I'm sure you thought the same way, Carter, you're like, Skinner's found it. This is it. They're going to do it. And then they go in there and Florida just lights them up in Game 3. And you have Calvin Pickard there that comes in. Pickard looked good. I believe they started Pickard in Game 5. He shits the bed. They put Skinner back in. When in the last 5 years have you seen a team's starting goaltender get pulled for another one? In this instance. With Vegas, Carter, I know you're raising your hand for Vegas probably. With Vegas, that was an injury, I believe. What are you raising your hand for? Are you talking about last year with Anthony Stolarz?
No, I was going to talk about Connor Hellebuck, but I'd rather not.
Oh, no, I meant goalies who went on Stanley Cup runs, like went to the Cup finals and won the Cup.
Oh.
I wasn't talking about just goalies in general.
Ouch.
You brought that up. I wasn't going to throw shade on your guy, Hellebuck. So you brought that up. That's
on me. That's on me. What about when Florida didn't start Bobrovsky?
When they started Lyon? Back in 23? Yeah, when I guess that is one that you could bring out.
Bob was definitely the starter. However, they didn't start him to start the playoffs, which was weird.
But the thing is, though, Alex Lyon kind of stole their net at the end of that season because Bobrovsky wasn't playing that well. And then obviously, the rest is history. But regardless, when do you see a Stanley Cup winner do that unless if it's for an injury? You don't see that. You don't. You look at 2024, Bobrovsky played every game besides Game 4. Anthony Stolarz, shout out to him. 23, it was a little bit of a different instance because, obviously it was Bressois for a little bit, I think, and then he got hurt. And then they brought in Logan Thompson. Thompson went in there and carried the team the rest of the way through. In 2022, Darcy Kemper was their goalie most of the way. Kemper did deal with an injury, so Francouz played a little bit, but Kemper was their guy. They were fully confident in Darcy Kemper. 2021, Vasilevsky won the Conn Smythe. So there's no doubt about that. Like, again, I know I'm going down the rabbit hole here, but you never see a team with pull their goalie like this and have a goalie that struggles in Stanley Cup. Like, the inconsistency is too much to ignore. And I'm sorry. Like, the people who say it's not a problem, it is a problem. Because, yeah, he has spurts of being really good, but at the same time, he also has spurts of not being so good. Like, it's too consistent to be confident in. So I would say, for me, the goaltending and the defense are my two biggest problems when I look at this Oilers roster.
You want to know something that kind of sucks for Edmonton is they were supposed to have this goalie issue fixed how many years ago? Like
forever ago.
No, they were like, no, realistically, man, like when we look at where is he? Were they finally off his contract?
Mike Smith?
No, Jack Campbell.
Oh, Jack Campbell. No, they bought that deal out.
Right, they bought it out. So you think about it, they were supposed to have their goalie. Jack Campbell was supposed to be that guy, and he didn't work out. Like, realistically, if Jack Campbell worked out, we could be looking at the Edmonton Oilers with a Stanley Cup right now. We're not talking about Connor McDavid signing a 2-year deal and him potentially leaving. We're talking about Connor McDavid cementing himself as one of the greatest NHLers of all time. We're talking about him being a lifelong Oiler, signing an 8-year, $20 million contract. But instead, Jack Campbell decided to fall off a cliff, and which is very unfortunate. I think every person who watches hockey loves Jack Campbell. Like, he's a
very nice guy.
Seems like an awesome dude. Like, unbelievable, hilarious guy. But he was supposed to be their guy. And it kind of sucks for them that he just didn't work out. And it's super unfortunate. And now we're in this conversation of, well, now they got to figure out goaltending. Like, Stuart Skinner's not the guy. They're constantly pulling him and everything like that. Pickard's, is he the guy? I don't know. He's had some flashes in the playoffs. He looked very good in the first round, and then just he went in against Florida and was cold and just couldn't figure it out. So Edmonton has 3 years to figure out who their goaltender is going to be. They're getting off the Stuart Skinner contract this year. He doesn't have an extension, and I don't think he will get one. And if he does, it'll be like a $2 million backup deal. They're getting off Pickard at the end of this year. Kulak is done after this year. I think next year, I'm pretty sure they have $23 million in cap space to work with. However, that is losing Philip, Kapanen, Henrique. Losing Henrique's $3 million contract is going to be nice because they'll be able to get him at a nice pay cut. 35 years old. Tomasek and Kulak, really, and then the rest of the guys are locked in. So they could fill out their, they have $23 million. They could go out and trade for a goalie, do something, figure something out to get yourself a goaltender. I don't understand. And I don't want to put this out there, but I kind of feel like I want to. So I'm going to do it right here, right now.
What are you going to say?
Do we see a world where the Nashville Predators are so bad UC Saros becomes available? $7.7 million. I understand he is their franchise goalie, right? And it's very rare that you see franchise goalies traded. But if Nashville has another stinker of a season and Edmonton calls up and says, hey, we got insert player, draft picks here, hangs up the phone, do we see Nashville think about it? I don't know. That could solve their goaltending problem. I think that he'd be great in Edmonton, right? With the amount of cap space that they could end up having next year, if they're no, you know what? This forward core, this D core, we're sticking with it. We just got to find a goalie. If they can do that, UC Saros could become a guy. We could see some other goaltenders, become available if they have, they just got to find the goalies that are on good contracts right now. And if they can, we could be looking at a very, very good kind of team for Edmonton. So it's not a lock, but it's definitely something I feel like I kind of want to put out there.
Well, I got to say this, then we got to move on because we got so much to talk about, and we only have like a half hour here left to discuss. That is a good hypothetical. The only thing though with that is like, is Nashville really going to do that? Is Stan Bowman going to want to give up assets for that? Like, there's a lot of questions to that. But again, like if they can make it happen, then we'll see. But again, I'll wrap with this with Edmonton. I feel like they have a real 3-year window here to go for a Stanley Cup. I honestly think these past 2 years were their best chances to go and get one, and they just couldn't get it done. But they got 3 years left kind of to do this before things really change, and we'll see if they can make it happen. Okay,